Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoco.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now offering our Q2 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Bite Ramen. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers! Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will, including a GP where half of the crowd had starter decks to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours, featuring myself, Demo73, and today I'm joined by Mark Symanski. How's it going, bud?
Hey, it's going pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you. Also known as the Chrono Mage here on YouTube, a longtime supporter of the channel and a longtime FoW player. Glad to have you here. You're making a game. You're making a game.
Yeah, I get tired of playing them. Thought I'd just, make one.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I respect it, and I can't do it. So we bring you on to champion it for the world to see. Before we get started, just as a little reminder for everybody, you can check the link in the description for all of the information of Fury of the Elements. There is a link to their website down below, as well as getting signed up for our June 8th Ruler School Circuit event. We just want to make sure that people get signed up for that, for your chance to win this quarter's playmat, which is that Alice extension rule. So, Mark, before we get started talking about Fury of the Elements, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Force Will?
All right. My name is Mark. I'm the CEO of Time Infinite Games, the creator of Fury of the Elements. My connection to Force of Will is over a decade now. Started playing when it first came out. I championed the game. I was working as a store manager at our local game store. We built a huge community. We had well over 100 people playing in like the heyday of Force of Will. It was just good times. Love the game, love the mechanics. I had to stop playing for a while when I left the store. I got a little bit behind on the sets, but caught back up and slowly trying to get people around here to get back into the game. I'm out in California, which seems to be the dead zone for FoW, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we'll play some Fury of the Elements, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about Fury of the Elements. I see in your little sign in the background it says inspired by Triple Triad and Magic the Gathering, which Triple Triad is very close and dear to my heart for its evolution in the form of Tetramaster from Final Fantasy IX. So Triple Triad, Final Fantasy VIII, Tetramaster, Final Fantasy IX. Tell us a little bit about what Fury of the Elements is, kind of at its core.
All right, so at its core, you're right. It is definitely inspired by Triple Triad and Tetramaster. Played all those games when the original Final Fantasy games came out at that time. I'm a big fan of Triple Triad, and I wanted something that was reminiscent of it, but obviously there's a lot of clone games out there, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to try and innovate on an already good idea and bring my own spin to it. So
yeah, I look at this playmat, and it just is like, oh, we're just playing Tetramaster. We're just playing a new age, like the vibe, which is like, sign me the heck out. I'm here for it.
So I kind of designed the game with a couple of things in mind. One was I wanted something reminiscent of Triple Triad. I want something that was quick to play, had that competitive edge, but wasn't so deep that I couldn't play it with, 10-year-olds couldn't play it, something like that. I just wanted something that was somewhat simple and somewhere where I could scale the complexity up for players such as ourselves who are competitive TCG players.
Yeah.
So I needed something in that gauge, and that's what started this. Fury actually started as, ready for this? And pull out the original prototype box.
Oh.
My wife and I and my friend Omar hand drew. This is how games start in game.
Yeah.
Hand drew over 1,200 cards.
Oof, goodness
when
gracious.
I had the concept for Fury of the Elements originally, it was going to be a TCG. That was the idea. That's what I was into. Was playing Magic. Was playing Force of Will. And I wanted a bigger TCG TCG version of Triple Triad on a bigger, more competitive scale, but still simple enough that the younger crowd could get
Sure.
into it and play it. After the concept, we went to prototype. We didn't go to a prototype till around the end of 2022 is when we actually did this prototype. And here's the original playmat, still on cardboard.
Spice. We need to get that graded. PSA 10 OG prototype Fury of the Elements playmat.
So, so I just wanted a game that was quick to play, fun. I wanted something that was engaging.
Sure.
I didn't want something where people had time to sit there on their phone in between turns, or somebody that could just dump their whole hand and you don't even get a turn and the game's over.
Oh, sure. The dreaded FTK.
We know how that is. It's fun when you can do it now and then. It does get boring after a while. But so that's kind of like the general idea of why I started developing it. I wanted to solve some issues with TCGs and collectible card games, make the game affordable where there's no sets you have to buy. You just get expansions as they come out. Everything you need is in the box, but it can be played. Yeah, look at that crazy box. But it can be played just as competitively. There's actually a Swift format. Your games in the larger mode take about 30 minutes, and the shorter mode takes about 5.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things that I think, having looked through everything and read the rules and gone through it all, the thing that really jumped out to me, too, is that it's certainly a lot of LCG style card meets board games or whatever can be very intimidating because their first glance is read all the mechanics and play a 2-hour first game. You're like, right. I don't have time for that. But the way you've designed this game, I think, is really clever in the fact that you have like 3 kind of base versions of the game, or like levels of intensity that's designed. You have the 3x3 grid, which is a lot, you play in a smaller grid within the playmat, and it's a lot more basic. And then it expands to the full 5x5, and then you like add in additional cards to a more complicated, more constructed element of 5x5. So like a natural pre-built kind of customization thing, I think, also really lends itself to a board game experience like this, a board card game experience, because like, you only have 15 minutes, well, just play the mini version. You have a full hour, play the hour version. You're prepping for a tournament, let's start grinding and practicing matches on the 5x5 with deck customization. Having that built naturally in, it's like you've got 3 formats out the gate, which I think is very, very clever and very, very cool. So I just want to give credit for that for sure. So we talked about a little bit about kind of its inspirations. We've talked about kind of the concept of the map or whatever, but how do we actually like play? Like, what's the concept of play for Fury of the Elements? What are we doing?
Okay, so it's pretty simple. Each player has 2 decks, each player has a deck called a power deck. It's 60 cards. And within those 60 cards are 4 different elements.
Yep.
Okay, so fire, earth, air, and water. All right. Within those cards, there are different power levels, which are the numbers that you see. So 1, 2, 3, or 4. So now you got 4 elements and 4 numbers. What you're trying to do is capture your opponent's cards. If you're playing the 3x3 version, it's very simple because you're just using these decks and this card, which I'll explain in a minute. And all you're trying to do is, if you're playing within the 3x3, you're trying to play cards down. Yep, in the purple area, you're trying to play cards down, and you're trying to hold the majority. There you go. You're trying to hold the majority of the battlefield. Unlike Triple Triad, where when an opponent captures your card, it flips over and becomes their card. This is one key difference. We do have directional combat. You'll see arrows on the cards.
Yep, I've got it pulled up on screen here as well.
Yep. So you'll have different spots. So there are 4 Earth 1s in the deck. There's 4 of every power level 1 card for each element in the 60 card deck.
Sure.
So that means this pip arrow pip is in each spot on a different card.
Right.
Okay. The arrows are how they can attack or defend. A card that's already placed down, that's already been down, is considered defending. It never kills an attacking card unless some other card effect says otherwise. However, these empty spots are considered defenseless, and this card has no power.
Right.
So these little 1 cards that most people would first look at and go, oh, that's like a pawn in chess, it's useless. Well, a pawn in chess is actually very powerful if you know how to use it. And so are these. There's no wasted card in this game. So this card can actually take out a level 3 card if there's an arrow, like if there was an arrow pointing down on this, this was the defending card, it can take it out.
Yeah.
So I will take that trade for points any day. So for the 3x3, you're just worried about getting the majority of the mat. Whoever fills up whenever the 9 squares fill up, and whoever holds the most wins.
So quick question on that. So say, we're going to bring up I've got the mat here, right? So say I've got, it's on my shoulder. It's feeling great. So say I've got, my little wispy guy. He's right here. And then I play someone that can attack above him, attack into him, right? He flips over, and is that just gone for the whole game?
No.
Or am I taking the card?
He actually takes the card and goes into a space on the bigger playmat.
Sure.
On the deluxe version, there's more spaces for all the decks, but it goes off of the board and it goes into what's called his affinity core. You're building up this elemental power.
Sure.
Like in this version, you're not worried about the points. The points are also the power level of the card. So the first thing you're going to look at in combat is the number. Is my number higher than yours? Okay, yes it is. I win as long as I have an arrow attacking someplace on your card that it
Right.
Cool. So number first and then element second. But what happens when 2 are tied? You get a 2 of fire and a 2 of water, and the arrows meet. Well, the power is the same. Well, that's where this revolutionary card comes in. This is our elemental reverse card. So what this card does is whenever there's a tie, it breaks that tie by giving you a hierarchy, a circle of elements, to tell you what element wins.
Sure.
Now, there's a special battle called a clash, a power clash. That's also a tie. But when there's a tie in power and there's no element that is superior or inferior, and they're directly across from each other like that, then this is a power clash and both cards stay on the field and the element reverse card flips over.
Ooh.
Now you're reversing the hierarchy, which means cards in your hand play a completely different way. So it's like having a 120 card deck.
Sure. So that brings me back again. I'm talking to the simple version, right? So with the purpose of if I capture the card and put it in the affinity core, how do we still know that I am the one who has the majority of the board state? Do we play until no one can capture anymore? Is that how we're playing?
You play until all 9 spaces are full.
And stay full,
out,
right?
You're not going to deck out.
Yeah, for sure. With only a 3x3 space. Yeah, that makes sense.
It takes like 5 to 7 minutes to play that.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything there.
So, but yeah, that's it. You just, whoever, when they fill up, whoever has the most wins. That's a simple mode. Everybody can play that game. I mean, I know I put ages 10 on the box, but that's more of a,
I just think of that song, I can count to 4, I can count to 1, 2, I can count to 2, I can count to 4, and I know what arrows are. So.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
So,
yeah, awesome.
That's the simple mode in a nutshell. I mean, that's really all there is to the Fury mode. That's the 3x3.
Yeah, and when we get, so that's for those of us who want to teach our children, or for me, for the purpose of Alice and Coda, or our, tiny friends how to play it. But we're card game players. We play Force of Will here, Mark. So we got to have something more. We can't just do arrows and numbers. We want a 5x5 grid. We want some kind of identity to what we're playing with. We don't want to have the same 60 cards over and over again. How do I make this game more unique every time I play it?
Okay, well, since you twisted my arm, I guess I'll go ahead and give it to you.
Oh, great.
You do step up to the 5x5. And when you go into this mode, it's called Titan's Fury. So in this mode, we're going to bring in 3 other types of decks that are neutral decks. That that Jeremy's holding there is the Titan deck.
Ta-da.
These are like your commanders in Magic or your rulers in Force of Will. They
Let me
have
try to pull it up.
they have special abilities, and they all have a kind of like a blanket ability that all Titans have. The game gives you a lot of choice, and in a game where one card, any card in this game, doesn't matter if it's a Titan, a spell, a power card, any card in the game can determine victory or defeat. On average, the points games in this, because this you're playing for points, the actual elemental power that you're collecting in your affinity core when you capture your opponent's card, on average, most of the games come down to a 1-point battle.
Crazy. I love that.
Over 1,000 games of Fury have been play tested, not just in-house. That's external. That's at Gen Con. That's a lot of different places. So we've done a lot of homework with this, but on average, the highest denominator there is 1. That seems to be the key.
So
number there.
So in the games of like the Titans Fury, right, the more complicated, is it a race to the finish type game where we're trying to see who gets the most points the first, or is it still kind of trying to control the board until it fully fills up?
We play tested so many different ways. There have been so many iterations of this game. In the end, what we have now is you fill up the 25 spaces, or in the Clash spell deck, this is a deck of spells, 25 cards here.
Yep, I've got them pulled up here on the screen as well.
Okay. There is a special one called the Void Shard. This is Shard of Rocknir. The shards are explained in the lore, but basically this is the last card in that deck every time. The rest of the deck is always shuffled, but this card goes last. Reason why is in case the game is taking too long for some reason, or you're blowing through the spells, this card will end the game. So you either fill up the 25 spaces, or this card is claimed by a player, and once it's claimed, the game's over. I've only seen a few, and I mean a few games that have come down to the spell deck actually decking out. So it's there just as like an extra condition just in case. Because there are some games like any TCG where you're like, oh, I'm going to be done in 20 minutes. And there you are at time on your first game and you haven't even finished it.
Yeah.
It happens in this every once in a while, but on average, it is about a 30-minute game.
Sure.
So no, you're filling up all 25 spots, but you're not going for majority. You're going for all the marbles here. You want as many points as you can, and we've given you multiple ways to earn those points.
Sure.
So obviously the main is capturing your opponent's card. If you capture your opponent's power level 4 card, that's 4 points.
Sure.
We made it simple. A 4 is 4 points. So at the end of the game, you're going to add all those up, and we have other ways for you to get points. You had the Titan cards out, so let's use those as an example. With the Titans, they have abilities. They all have a blanket ability that sometimes affects the battlefield.
Sure.
So what's really fun about game design is making rules, right?
Gotta love it.
But who wants to play by the rules? It's more fun when you can make cards that break your rules, but in a controlled environment.
I'm feeling very ruler inspired in this mechanic.
So I don't know where that came from.
Who would have thought?
But that's what the Titans do. The spells do the same thing. These guys like to alter the playing field, what's going on there, change outcomes of things, saying, oh, no, you can't do that because this is telling me that you can't do it. That's where the fun is. It's fun to have the rules, but it's really fun when you can have creative, fun, controlled ways to break them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the things the Titans do. The other thing is they have an ability up here called Titans Charge. And the back of the card even says Titans Charge.
Yeah. I see that it's based on if you can capture certain types of cards, right? So for instance, I've got Mr. Smolder here, right? And Smolder wants me to capture 3 fire cards and a wind card. Or no, not a wind, an earth card. And if I get the Titan's charge, and then I get to do something else. Tell me about what else I get to do. I like doing more things.
All right. So you can keep track. This is the only thing you have to really keep track of in the game. So you can keep track. We've provided these dice, these D6s, in various colors that all match the theme of the game. So you can keep track of those. So when you capture the prerequisite amount of what you need, your Titan instantly charges. You have a choice. We want to give players choice, powerful choices. One of our things is simple but powerful choices, like one of our first taglines. And this is a perfect example of that. You can either place the Titan face up in your affinity core where you capture your opponent's cards. Face up means that you are taking the 5 points. This card is worth 5 points. There's no other card in the game that's worth 5 points. So this is a very powerful card in the term of point value. But sometimes you get these pesky cards that are called the Void. And we'll explain the mechanic for those here in a few minutes, how that comes out. But sometimes they're just in your way. And so you have the choice of flipping this face down in your affinity core, either instantly or saving it for a more opportune time, and destroying a void card on the field. It is the only way to get rid of a void card. Once a void card is
freeing
out,
up some more board space.
Right. And there are plenty of ways to combo. There's so many ways you can combo in this game, off of spells, off of Titan abilities, and like the charge mechanic, that you can really set yourself up from what you thought was maybe a losing match to all of a sudden you just ended up scoring like 9 points in one turn. So that's the purpose of the Titan.
I like the strategy of it a lot. I like the strategy of it for sure. And I have an Earth Titan here on the screen for some artwork. The artwork is very, very cool, by the way. It's very well done.
If anybody is wondering, it is not AI artwork. That is commissioned artwork by our artist, Matt Gimeno. He does a fantastic job for us.
Yeah, Matt did a good job with these, for sure. I mean, obviously, I think the really standout art is the Titans, for sure. But I think card layout wise, even the power deck with the Wisp, the Elder, the Primal, and the Fury, those are all really cool. So this particular guy on the screen here right now is Crag. This is Crag. Everybody say hi, Crag. Hi, Crag.
Crag.
So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of this. And just as you and I were talking before the cast, with regards to the way the Titans work, is both players get to pick. They work from the same deck. Person going first or second gets to pick. Is it first or second who gets to pick first Titan?
Okay, so when a game is set up, you'll roll to see who goes first.
Right.
And so the person that goes second gets to pick their Titan first. So you're kind of drafting a Titan.
Right.
Again, a little bit of TCG element in there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, whatever.
Crazy. Who would have thought?
And then from there, the first player will get the deck back from the second player, pick their Titan. Those will stay face down for the moment. And then that first player is actually going to deal out 3 Titans to each other. So
randomized.
4 Titans.
Cool.
4 Titans work. If you do run out of Titans, you are out of Titans. That's part of the fun.
Yeah.
So you just don't have a static ability anymore, and you got no way to destroy a void card or get 5 more points. So there's strategy and choice and using things wisely.
Yeah.
But that's with playing.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, I feel like we've got a good grasp of mechanics. I feel like we've got a good grasp of the concepts. I feel like we have an understanding as to why Force of Will players would like this. Because I, for sure, Tetramaster meets Force of Will meets a board game, and I'm okay, great. I'm in. I'm pretty sold on that, for sure. Let's talk about your idea right now. Is that it's kind of a sealed box concept, and then with like more of a, I don't want to say an LCG because of the fact that like out of the gate it is kind of like really heavy precon with some like natural variants thrown in just because of what's included in the box. But what made you decide to go this route as opposed to something like a TCG? And where do you think like Fury of the Elements then expands from this kind of sealed box experience?
This is probably one of my favorite things to talk about because while people watching and people that have seen the game, they they know of the game. They know that this is a contained game, right? Everything you need is in the box for two players. Um, However, the reason why I decided to do this was because, like I told you, we hand drew 1,200 cards.
It's too many.
By making those cards, everything you see outside of the artwork for the Titans and the artwork for the power cards, the spells, but the layouts, everything else, like everything, the website, all of it is mostly done by me. So this game has about 200 cards
Yeah.
without any of the promos or anything like that. Okay, that's a lot of work. It is a lot of work when you're one person. And don't get me wrong, my co-designer is awesome. My marketing guy Zach is awesome, but my co-designer kind of likes to stay behind the scenes a little more and work on like mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, which I'm fine with. But so the reason we went with this was because this was something I've had a lot of concepts for games. I've been trying to do something like this between video games and board games for 25 years now. And I felt like if I partnered with my friend Omar and he could help me refine the game from 1,200 cards down to a TCG down to a playable like 200 cards or whatever the magic deck number would be, it would be something that I think I could handle pretty much creating on my own outside of, you know, his help with mechanics and naming abilities and stuff like that. And that I'm glad I went this direction because here we are. If this would have stayed a TCG at this stage, I'd still be working on it and it'd probably take me another 3 or 4 years to
Yeah.
get to this point. And that's not really what I was trying to do. And I want to start my company off somewhere with a good foothold.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to ever create a TCG as your first game. That is actually a game design rule. You don't create a TCG as your first game because of the amount of work, the amount of resources you have to spend, especially on artwork. This is all done by one artist. So all the Titans are done by one artist because I wanted
Oh, that's pretty
consistency.
cool. Yeah, I like that.
So that's one of my reasons for doing a contained box. Other reasons were that I wanted running Force of Will tournaments and Magic tournaments and all that. I would have to watch people not be able to play because they couldn't afford to either pay for the tournament or pay to buy the card on the third-party market to get in their deck to try and be competitive.
Right.
So I wanted a perfectly balanced game that it didn't matter who you were, where you came from, if you had a copy of the game or the store had a copy of the game and they were hosting a tournament, you could sit down, you could sit down and you could play and be just as competitive as the person across the table from you.
Yeah, it's about strategy, not about resources, right?
Right. You guys will laugh during the campaign video. There's a little there's a line in there that you'll laugh about. Remember this. So, but yeah, I wanted a contained experience, something that I think I could handle on my own. I could use my resources, what I had, to put into it, and try and get something off the ground. The thing with Fury of the Elements, it's not just a game. While everybody sees it as, oh, this is just this game. No, it's the cornerstone of our company, and we've actually created an entire universe based on this game.
Gotta love lore building.
This is the start of the world. There are no humans in the world at this point. This is the creation of the world. So we've already got 7 more games that we're working on, 2 of them in prototype phase right now, and we've got 2 expansions already finished for Fury of the Elements. So there's a big future for this game and everything in its universe. Everything from this game all the way up to a TTRPG that takes place in what we'll call the present time.
Sure.
Thousands of years later after these events. So, again, it's not just this game. We've got a whole universe. So that's kind of why I decided to do the contained box.
Yeah. So is then the plan for your company to get Theory of the Elements launched as this kind of sealed box experience and have promos and stuff and everything, promo foil variants or stuff like that or things like that. But then is the idea then to have that as a cornerstone launch and then move into other products within the universe? Or is it to then provide expansion to Fury of the Elements alongside those new products? Like where does, with this being the cornerstone, what is then the roadmap beyond the cornerstone, right?
We expect this game to be around with everybody's support, obviously.
Right.
To be around for years. This isn't something you have to worry about buying sets and keeping up with. When we launch an expansion, we've created a modular deck system. That's what we call it. And what happens is you take that 5x5 version of Titan's Fury, and we'll use this as a perfect example. You've got these clash spells, right? Well, maybe these spells are a little bit too complex for who you're playing with, or you want to change up your experience. One of the free expansions that's coming with every tier in the Kickstarter is a Clash Point deck. This was our original concept. All these cards are just worth points instead of worrying about spells.
Okay.
Again, it's a different experience. When we make more Titans, you're going to add those Titans to the Titan deck, as long as they're not the same name.
I also see this little rainbow boy in my box. Is this what you're talking about with like the modular deck building?
Yes, kind of. So this was one example. So what you do is you just swap the spell deck out with the point deck, and that's it. Your experience is completely different now. The cards you're holding there, I gave you and everybody else doing reviews of the game a promo pack. Those are all stretch goals that are going to be on the Kickstarter. And that rainbow one is a precursor to expansions coming up.
Okay.
A lot of our expansions are named after the Titan abilities.
Sure.
So Affinity Clash, stuff like that. So the idea is to do exactly what you said. Fury of the Elements isn't going anywhere.
Ooh.
It's going to keep going. We're going to keep releasing content for it. Expansions. There it is.
Hey, I like me a full art card. Listen. I like me a full art card.
Well, keep going. There's another one there.
Yeah, I see that. It's really nice. That also looks really nice. Borderless cards are sick.
Those two cards are actually cards that we created as Kickstarter exclusives. That whole pack that you're holding there.
Yeah.
Those are two stretch goals. There's a regular version of those Titans that you had there. Those are the two main Titans, Elmond and Maleficus. And we, of course, TCG player, I want full art cards, right? My game isn't a collectible card game. It's not a trading card game. But it doesn't mean that it can't have some collectability.
Yeah.
We already released our first promo at Gen Con, which I think you have a copy of that too.
I think so.
So, anyways, that's the roadmap is to keep going with the game, keep adding decks that can be swapped out to change your experience. There's going to be mats that are going to have status effects on them. There's going to be totally different types of spell cards that come out. We actually have a tier on the Kickstarter. The highest tier, you will be able to, it's very limited. There's only 32 of these available. You will be able to work directly with myself and Omar, my co-designer, and we are going to take the Titans that we have, and we are going to create alternate versions of them. And possibly, if we hit the stretch goals, not only will you guys receive that expansion for free, the ones that back that tier, it will start unlocking for lower tiers so that everybody that backs the game will get that Kickstarter exclusive expansion. It's going to be Titan and a whole nother spell deck, and nobody else will get this expansion. Nobody. Strictly going to be for Kickstarter, as well as the Clash Point deck that I showed you. So I thought that'd be a fun experience for people to get together and take these Titans that already exist, give them new unique abilities versus mirrored abilities, change the artwork, possibly do full art so they can go along with the Elamon and Maleficus that I gave you there that are full art, and kind of complete that set. That's the intent.
That's pretty awesome.
So,
this is really like, this is a modular board game that is inspired by the concepts of trading card games, but not so much so that it becomes a TCG. Like, at its core, this is a board game, but it has the strategy and card elements of a trading card game, which is really, really cool. I really like games that explore that space, the use of cards meets a board. Like you said at the beginning, at the upkeep, every single game is going to be different because it does have that, like, you know, uh, I'll speak to this. I've played a lot of board games in my time. I've played a lot of board games with my father, who's designed board games and everything else. There's only so many ways that a person can play a worker placement game before you recognize what strats are the best, and you just kind of try to play to those as best as you can. I know for a fact there's a game that is very popular in my family called Kingsburg. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game. It's a dice driven worker placement game, but at its core, at the base game, the game pretty much always plays the same. It's just, did the dice like you or not? So, like, you know, every single time I sit down to play Kingsburg, I usually try to play it the same way, and it's usually pretty successful. Whereas this, because of that, you know, the deck element, and because everything is mirrored, and because there's the randomness of the Titans and everything else, there is still that element of, you know, and swapping decks and everything else. That modular nature really does feel like you've hit the nail on the head about how to make something that scratches the trading card game player's itch to not be playing a board game while getting them to play a board game, which I think is,
You're right.
is well done.
Actually, that is the mode of thinking. Thank you. It was trying to bridge the gap between trading card games, board games, and card games. I'm not the first person to do that. I'm not the first person to try. And another reason I didn't go with TCG for this is because this year you'll see on Kickstarter, there's like 3 or 4 other games and last year that are similar to this with the positional based combat on a grid, spells, stuff like that. However, most of them are all TCGs, and they all play kind of similar to each other, and you can move the pieces around on the board. I was like, that's cool. That's not what I want to do, and I need to be different than everybody else.
Right.
So I feel I truly feel that this game is unique, and the fact that we're going to be making content for it and just keep changing your experience. The coolest thing is with that modular deck system, you can take a clash deck or power decks, because we're going to start getting into dual elements. And there will be a time where you will have a deck building format where you will get to create your own deck, because we have so many power cards out that there will be a competitive format where you can kind of build your own deck. You'll pick your 2 Titans. Your opponent won't know what they are. You'll actually take them from your collection, like sitting down with an actual TCG and playing. So that is coming. That is a future thing. But we didn't want to throw everything at everybody at once, because it's just too complex.
Yeah, no, I feel that for sure. Yeah, and like I said, this feels like it's scratching the itch perfectly of it. It's getting card game players to play a board game without realizing they're playing a board game. Which I think is exactly what you were shooting for, which is, we won't tell anybody. I promise that. So also, speaking of content, if you look at the description down below, there is a link to a very helpful review video that you guys worked with another content creator to produce that kind of goes into an overview of the game, kind of shows more of the hands-on of the product. Obviously, being the vodcast, it's a little bit harder to show you that, but you should definitely check that out, and there is the website down below. So let's talk about that. We know we're going into content creation. We know there's going to be a YouTube channel. You've already done some work on a YouTube channel. We've already done, the partnerships with other people. You've got the website, what people should check out. That brings us to the ultimate portion of this, which is, this is going to be a Kickstarter. Information that's not currently live, but information on how to be able to get connected to it is on your website. What is the proposal for you guys, at least as far as you know? Obviously that can go up in the air, but when you guys think this is going to launch, and what are we looking for as a goal for this to get off the ground, to be able to run it? Because I think I'm probably going to try to bring this to the next in-person GP to try to play with some people, because I always have a party house when we're at GPs, and this seems like a lot of fun. There's always a couple people in the corner who aren't play testing, so we'll get them to play. because
That's cool.
they're either not playing in the GP or whatever. But for other people who are looking to try to get their hands on it or are wanting to back it and kind of support a fellow Force of Will card game player, when are we looking to launch, and what are we looking for goal wise?
All right, so I know that we originally wanted to launch in November. My mother passed away in October, so I had to push that stuff back. Um, so in a way, her passing is not a blessing, but the events that transpired after allowed me to create a lot of partnerships with places for Kickstarter
Yeah,
to give people one heck of a value in this box. So we are hoping next Tuesday after Memorial Day that our pre-launch will go live.
sure.
And this is where our ad testing kicks in on Facebook and Instagram, and so you'll probably start seeing ads pop up. Basically, player or people will have a chance to click on that. It'll take you to a landing page. You have all the information you need on there to check out the game a little more in depth. It's pretty brief, but once you're done with that, you can go to the Kickstarter page to save the page for when the actual launch goes. I can't talk to a date yet as much as I want this to go really quickly.
Sure.
It really comes down to the response we get from ads because I'm just starting off. This is our first game. We need a community. So you're talking about goal. We're going to have a low goal of 25,000. That's really not much. And that's actually what I've put into the game. So, and I wouldn't even get it back at that point if that's all we did was hit that. But I'm very confident in the game. That's going to be the goal. And we have a ton of stretch goals with stuff that I hope people will really enjoy. So
I just shared. I just also, for those of you who are watching in the chat right now, just wanted to make sure I did send you a link to the Fury of the Elements Discord. You should go check that out as well, because there's lots of ways to get plugged into that community. Speaking of, you can try out some game stuff there, give stuff done. Is Fury of the Elements currently on like a beta version, currently on Tabletop Simulator for anybody?
It's not up there for the public at the moment.
Sure.
I am going to update it. I put it up there when I was a student of Justin Gary's at the Think Like a Game Designer masterclass.
Yeah.
This last year, right before Gen Con. So we used it for playtesting the game. And that was a very good experience. So the game is much better. Between that and the playtesters at Gen Con, love you guys. You guys made this game great.
Yeah.
Really, really great. So, the Discord is a really good thing to mention. That is the best way to connect with the game outside the website.
Right.
Because I'm the most active on there. Facebook, I'm on a lot. Instagram, I'm on a lot. But if you got a question, you want to see something, the Discord channel is the place to definitely do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the Kickstarter exclusive version of the box.
Ooh, that's pretty dope.
Sorry about the glare there.
That's all good.
Everything on the Kickstarter is pretty much exclusive. So
Nice.
this box, the mat that comes inside of it is actually different than.
Ooh, that looks sick. Yeah. That's pretty sick.
Okay.
That's pretty nice.
Then there's a second box that comes in a tier along with this, one of the higher tiers called the Void tier. And you get this box and that mat, and then you get.
Nice.
You get this one too.
Oh, it's reversible. That's pretty sick.
Okay. Well, this one's reversible. Unfortunately, the one that didn't come in the box won't be.
Yeah, but you'll get both of them. Yeah.
But you'll get both of them. And then on top of that, there is just so much value that we've packed into the Kickstarter. This is what a real deluxe mat looks like.
That is sick. That's sick.
This is what we call the Clash mat.
The full-size mat to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And this is available, I think, on the second tier. So,
That's pretty good.
We know that this is like you walk in a store, this is a $40 to $50 mat. So when you're looking at the tiers, look at the value you're getting. in addition to stuff like that, I've teamed up with Titan Shield, who's going to be providing the sleeves to all the Kickstarter backers. You'll get
That's awesome.
300 of these sleeves to protect your investment.
Gotta love that.
So this is awesome. These are actually textured. These are matte sleeves. They are clear because we don't want to cover up the artwork when you have
Stuff to flip over.
Stretch goal of getting different power deck card backs.
That's pretty sick.
So, yeah, there's so
you're scratching all the collector's itches in me, Mark. You're scratching them. I'm ready.
More.
Oh gosh, why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me, Mark? Those are sick. Hey, full art foils. We know me. This is really awesome. This is really sick.
So the promo pack that I gave you, that was just for you guys for doing reviews and stuff like this. So I appreciate it. In case the stretch goals don't get hit, you have them. Okay, so they're going to be unique.
Appreciate that.
But I'm pretty confident that everybody's going to want all of those cards. So, we want to make sure that we're definitely hitting those stretch goals. So we wanted to make it worth everybody's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time, right. So,
yeah.
But yeah, foil cards. There's a full foil tier.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
one more thing.
We've got more.
Sorry, this is
wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. I also teamed up with, you've heard of Displate and probably Metallic.
Don't tell me you have metal plate posters.
I teamed up with Metallics, and these are bigger than the backer ones, but these are my personal ones because I wanted to see the quality. And these are metal.
That's awesome.
All right. And these, like everything else, are exclusive to the Kickstarter.
That's so cool.
There as add-ons. They'll also be included in certain tiers. They will be a little bit smaller than this for the backers, but they're still really, really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
The cool thing about Metallics, the reason why I teamed up with them wasn't just the metal posters, because I've been in print for 25 years. I can do that myself. It's a fact of sustainability. They plant a tree for every order that I give them.
Well, that's pretty sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, when you're trying to be sustainable and do stuff like that, and print with inks that don't hurt the environment, and there's a reason why these cards are so glossy.
Yeah.
And feel the way they do, because I want them to last. I don't want you to have to throw them in the trash. That's why we're giving you Titan Shield sleeves.
Yeah.
To protect your investment.
It's a really nice touch.
I went to great lengths to try and make these partnerships and make this game as nice as I could, so that it was attractive to people. And yeah, so I want you to be able to protect it.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. I like that a lot. I opened the box and I saw that there were all the sleeves in it, and it's just like such a nice touch to just like be able to walk in and open the box and be like, I can keep this safe forever, and like not have to worry about it.
That's exclusive to the backers. The retail box, even though you had the retail box and had sleeves in it, that was for you.
Sure.
But the retail box itself won't, because one, I worked in a store. I want stores to be able to sell sleeves, and some people have their preference.
Right.
But my worry isn't the copies in the store. It's about taking care of the people who are going to support us on this crazy journey.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for sure, everyone here should definitely go support you on this crazy journey when the Kickstarter goes live. Check it out on the website. Check it out on the Kickstarter. This is going to be a lot of fun. Do you have any other convention appearances this year, like Origins or anything else like that?
I really wanted to do Origins. I wanted to do Gen Con. I wanted to come out and see you guys at FoW Fest. That one I might pull off, but I'll be honest, what I have left for the budget is strictly for advertising, I'm tapped. I'm done.
That's all good. Well, we will make sure to spread the word as best as we can. I definitely recommend, again, everyone get plugged into the Discord. It's a great way to get connected and maybe ask questions or learn more about it. This game is shaping up to be a lot of fun. Again, like I said, I'm an old school Tetramaster fan, and so this is scratching all the same itches that I get playing that game for sure. And so I just want to say a huge thanks again to Mark for stepping up and supporting the channel and being a FoW player, and congratulations on getting this game, kind of getting up and getting to a point where you're ready to launch. Looking forward to seeing it, looking forward to backing it and supporting it. And any kind of closing thoughts?
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you've done for Force of Will. Try and keep the game going, man. I mean, it's great. I'm glad that the game's still there, and I think it's slowly becoming the game it was. When it first started, I'm seeing that love. I'm getting that itch.
Yeah.
Again, like, oh, this is getting good. This is getting good again. So, but no, thank you everybody for coming in and joining us. No, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here, as always. And until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined by Mark Symanski and Fury of the Elements, saying, class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.